15 years, blowing the doors off the competition. Podcasting to planet Earth.
PNRNetworks.com.
This podcast is a member of the Blueberry Network. Blueberry. No E's. That's Blueberry, BLUBRRY.com. Blueberry.com.
Connecting to server. Connection confirmed. Connecting to website. Connection confirmed. Adjusting lights to preset level. Adjusting sound. Adjusting volume. Recording.
Real movies for real people. T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown. Subject Cinema 2021.
The world has changed.
Oh, no. We're not doing that again. We've done that already. Twice.
All right, fine. Pardon me for trying to inject some class into this.
Well, it is class, but it's going to be a whole class, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
Welcome to Subject Cinema. I'm T.C. Kirkham.
Hi, I'm Kim Brown.
Subject Cinema number 656, July 11th, 2021. Our topic for this week, the post-pandemic movie world, as in...
After, the world has changed.
Yeah,
blah, blah,
exactly.
etc.
It has. It's been upended.
Too late, didn't read. Anyway, knocked me right out of my Galadriel mode.
Over the last 16 months, the entire movie industry has been turned on its ear.
Yep.
We got Oscars that were handed out that nobody cares about. You got all these.
I don't see how that's different from any other
well,
year.
But most people didn't even care to watch it this year. It's the lowest rated Oscars in history.
At least most people pretended to give a flying fork before, and this time they didn't even bother.
They will when it comes again next year, but we'll see what happens.
I won't.
All kinds of things have changed, and it doesn't seem like there's going to be any way back. Can you put Pandora back in the box?
Excuse me?
You know what I mean. Speaking this past week...
I don't think we should be talking about Pandora's box on the interwebs here. It's not that kind of a show.
Oh, fine. Speaking this past week at the Allen and Company Sun Valley Conference in Idaho, former Fox Studios head and IAC chairman Barry Diller had this to say about what has been going on. Quote, "The movie business is over. The movie business as before is finished and will never come back. I used to be in the movie business where you made something really because you cared about it. These streaming services have been making something that they call movies. They ain't movies. They are some weird algorithmic process that has created things that last 100 minutes or so." Close quote.
Okay. Hold up, wait a minute. Yes, I'm sure that every single person out there, Mr. Diller, who has made a movie, made them for the pure artistic creation of making a film, and not for a quick, soulish cash grab. Disney live-action remakes of animated movies. But
we like those. The ones we've seen.
What ones have we seen?
Maleficent?
That doesn't count.
Why?
Because that was the Gregory Maguire, Wicked spin on thing.
All of them have been. We haven't seen Cruella lately. We have not seen Mulan, and we'll
the
talk to those.
live-action version of The Lion King and the live-action version of...
What live-action version of The Lion King?
Allegedly live-action version of The Lion King, which wasn't.
The Jungle Book animated version. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
okay.
that one, the live-action version of Beauty and the Beast.
Right, okay.
The live-action version of Mulan.
I gotcha.
Yeah. So anyway, yes, all of those movies were made for art. Right.
Well, some of them were. I'm sure that the people behind them were trying to make art. I mean, don't knock Mulan. It was one of the only films in the last 20 years made in Hollywood that featured a predominantly Asian cast.
Yes, it did. That's true.
Including awesome Donnie Yen. Don't diss Donnie Yen movies.
Fine, but my point is the whole, all those movies were made for art. Yeah, I'm really sure Debbie Does Dallas was made for art.
I am not putting Walt Disney and porn in the same breath.
All right, fine. I'm sure the 95 Transformers movies were made for art.
Okay, there you go. Toy spin-offs.
I'm sure the 75 Fast and Furious movies were made for art. So don't give me all that.
But the point of this is what?
I just...
Make your point.
Fine. Too late, didn't read Old Man Yells at Cloud. It's basically, I'm sorry, that's what that was. That was Barry Diller's version of Back in My Day. This is the same, I'm sorry.
But is that so bad?
No, it isn't.
Okay.
Because my point being the same crap was said about talkies. And the same crap was said about television. And all the other things that have been moving things forward in regards to technology or whatever, and the wheels on the bus go round and round. It's just the simple fact that there's always going to be things evolving. As much as some people would like everything to be just the way it used to be, can I bring up that just the way it used to be for some people really sucked? It was really nice for, some people, a very small minority of them, but for the rest of the world, it was kind of crappy.
But you do realize that what he's saying is that the movie-going experience, theaters, audiences, popcorn, is never going to recover because things have moved onto small screens, home theaters, tiny little phones. You understand that, right?
I understand that's what he's saying. I think it's crap. Because,
you don't agree with that?
No, I don't agree with that. Simply because people said the same thing about television when it came out. Oh, this is going to kill the movie industry. People said the same thing about... They've said the same thing about everything that happens in, throughout the existence of civilization. That when something different comes along, you have people running around, clutching their pearls, pulling their hair out, being like, this is the end of civilization as we know it. Panic, burn everything.
Okay, Karen, just settle down.
Don't make me get up off this chair. But those are...
You understand, though, that... you say Barry Diller is Chicken Littling everywhere.
I'm saying things are not going to be exactly the way they used to be. I'm sorry if that means you can't gouge the viewing public as much as you used to be able to.
They'll double prices if that happens,
paying $15 for a bag of popcorn or something like that. I'm really sorry.
Well, I don't have a problem. Here we go into something that's entirely different, but it's on the same path. When it comes to the concessions and the food at theaters, that's the only place they make money because the movie industry has so throttled the profits. It used to be back in the 1970s and 80s, movie theaters got 50 to 60% of the box office from the rentals of the movies. Now they get to keep at most 5%.
Right.
They can only make money. They can only stay open by the food that they sell and through other deals with other sources like Metropolitan Opera, Fathom Events, and other things like that.
Right.
So it's unfair to call out $15 popcorn when the movie studios have pushed them in that direction.
All right. But can you understand?
I mean, it sucks, but they have.
Can you understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah, I do.
It's the simple fact that whenever things, deviate from the status quo, even just like a half of an inch, you have people who act like, civilization's going to topple over.
These are people in the business. That's why.
Well, yeah, because they think they're not going to. They think they're not going to get as much money as they did.
Well, Diller isn't in the film industry anymore.
I'd
anyway.
also like to say, before anybody out there is furiously typing hate mail, I do understand, and I will be the first to admit that some movies are made for the purpose of art. They are made because someone wants to tell an amazing story.
Yeah, I think that was mostly. I think people got that was an analogy.
That some people make some movies because they're trying to tell an amazing story, or they want to make a documentary where they want to let people know about something that's going on, or things like that. And those are all wonderful things. But a lot of films are made to make money. I mean,
yeah, I'm not saying they're not. But what I'm saying is,
if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's not a velociraptor. So
what I'm saying about this is it changing so much that the movie experience is going to be forever altered? A lot of Hollywood thinks yes. A lot of people in the industry think yes. And yet there are signs that they're not right about that.
No, they're not.
The Disney Premier Access program, Disney started offering their big ticket movies to homes, streaming, day and date release, with certain things. It happened with Mulan, it happened with Raya, it happened with something else, and this weekend with Black Widow.
Right.
But they're charging Disney Plus customers an extra $30 to watch them.
Yeah,
and Disney sat back and said, "Oh, let's watch the money roll in." Guess what? It didn't. No. Mulan's home video Premier Access, they thought it would bring in this amount of dollars. They never clued it in. But according to insiders, Disney made 30% of what they expected.
Right.
And it went into the toilet for the release of Raya and Cruella. It might recover with Black Widow because Black Widow's a Marvel Universe movie. It's connected to it, and they're doing the same thing. This one might work because of its fandom, its locked-in fandom. But more people are going back to the theaters. So I don't necessarily think that's going to work either, because people who would have the choice of seeing Black Widow on the small screen for $30 extra, or at the local reopened multiplex for $14 a ticket, are going to choose to go to the multiplex.
Yeah. They are.
This new business model is ultimately going to fall flat on its face.
The thing is,
and that was the whole thing with that thing they tried to do that they were talking that never got off the ground back in 2009 with that heist movie that Ben Stiller did.
Tower Heist.
Tower Heist. They were going to release it to theaters, to home video the same weekend for $75 a pop. And they ultimately decided not to do it. If Premier Access isn't working, nothing will. $30 a pop is not bad. I mean, when you consider that for these family films, and most of them have been, where you're taking your kids and to the theater, you're paying $14, $15 a ticket. Let me finish. $14, $15 a ticket plus popcorn and all that stuff, plus gas to get there.
Gas,
and back and forth, and babysitters if you don't bring little tiny kids.
I was going to say, if you're not bringing your kids, you're going to be paying for a babysitter.
Right.
You
wouldn't go to a kids film and not bring the kids, but you wouldn't want to bring the little tiny kids.
Yeah, like let's just say for Black Widow, which you wouldn't want to, which
probably under 10s.
Shouldn't bring little tiny children to a movie like that.
Unlike around here where we had, 2 under 10s at Deadpool?
Unlike around here where we had a baby at the girl with the dragon tattoo.
Yeah, but the baby was too small to understand and see what they were doing.
No, but it was alive, and it was alive enough to scream. So
it only lasted a couple minutes and she took it out.
Anyway. No, but the thing is, when you talk about money and stuff like that, like, assuming, like you said, you take a family, you've got gas, you've got tickets, you've got food, you've got possibly, when it talks about food, you've also got you can get this Black Widow popcorn thing, and the little kids go crazy for that,
right?
Stuff like that. Even if you're not bringing the kids,
right,
you might have to pay for a babysitter,
right?
Some places you have to pay for parking,
right? I just went through all that, so
the parking you didn't
what are you
mention.
adding to it?
But the parking you didn't mention.
No, I didn't.
So,
most movie theaters, you don't have to pay for parking, no.
But see,
it's validated.
My whole thing is this is going to ruin the movies thing has been going on I mean,
Now we're going back to what you were talking about 10 minutes ago.
No, I don't remember. I'm thankfully not old enough to remember when the whole thing was, TV's going to ruin the movie industry. But you and I both remember when video stores were going
video
to ruin.
cassettes were the ruination of Hollywood, and they ended up becoming a billion-dollar industry because of it.
Video rental stores were going to be the ruination of movies.
And then cable TV, too.
And then cable TV. Before that, cable TV.
Yeah.
And then video stores. And then Netflix with the whole, back when you had to, literal, and Redbox and all that stuff.
You can still do Netflix through the mail, but not very many people do.
And streaming, before streaming had to be the way that we all had to watch movies because the theaters were closed because pandemic.
So my point, I think the point is, the $30 Premier Access fee for Disney is a bargain for families for movies that they want to see, and for rural areas that don't have a large, a multiplex that might be showing these films, but might have it on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Other than that, it really doesn't. I think that's why Mulan only made 30% of what they were expecting it, and the other two aren't. And Black Widow could change that. We'll see.
I think Mulan also had the issue of the fact that when everybody first heard about it, they were all like, "Yay!" Then it was, "What do you mean it's not a musical? What do you mean you left out the songs? What do you mean there's no Mushu?"
Right.
Once all that stuff got out, people went, "No."
Now, Warner Brothers has taken a different tact. They're releasing their large theatrical releases day and date on HBO Max. No extra fees, no anything.
Right.
People can see, I think that started, if I'm not mistaken, it started with Wonder Woman 1984, Christmas Day, and has gone forward since then with all of their major releases.
And then the Snyder Cut happened.
Well, that's a different thing entirely. That was an HBO Max only. So that's not what I'm talking about theatrical releases. Theatrical releases have been coming out day and day on Warner Brothers, and so far, it has not hurt their box office. Despite coming out on day and date on HBO Max, Godzilla vs. Kong was a monster at the box office.
See what he did there?
Yeah. It did super well, better than they anticipated, because they had not yet started the massive reopenings yet. Right. They were slowly reopening. Now the theaters are opening again, the solvent ones. Some of them are having trouble. AMC is on shaky ground, but they're open. Regal is on really shaky ground, but they're open. But a number of other chains like ArcLight have closed.
Yeah. See, that's the other thing that I think is hilarious, that these people who are being like, "Oh, streaming's so bad, it's gonna destroy the movie theaters." I'm sorry, look this way. What movie theaters? How many movie theaters have closed in this area, in this part of the state?
We actually have lost the two brand new luxury theaters we had. We talked about this a few weeks ago, but during the pandemic, we lost Carasota's Showplace Icon, which was in the Seaport. We saw Endgame there. And the brand new ArcLight. Would you stop? I'm sorry! She has never let me forget that she thought the audience sucked at that theater. I'm sorry. Okay, let's move on. The other one, ArcLight, North Station, we never even got to go. It opened just 4 weeks before the pandemic shutdowns. And ArcLight closed and announced 2 or 3 months ago they were going out of business.
Yeah.
So that sucks. We waited for 4 freaking years for that theater.
Yep.
I don't know if there's going to be
our local cinema we brought up.
Showcase Slope, but that was a business decision. That wasn't because it wasn't making money. That was because the city of Revere got greedy and wanted more money from Amazon.
Well, we don't know how much money Amazon offered. That might have been a case of that they might have been foolish not to take it.
Yeah, I'm sure they were.
It sucks.
It does suck because it's going to make it super hard for us to get to the theater now. We have to go clear to Somerville, to the closest theater, which is AMC at Assembly Square, which we talked about before, or Assembly Row, whatever it's called. Assembly Row.
Which is a great theater.
It's a nice theater. We saw Night of the Living Dead there a couple years ago, but it's a pain to get to, and it's like $17 Uber ride.
Yeah.
So
it's a bigger pain to get to when you don't know where you're going.
Yeah.
Because we got lost.
We didn't get lost. We got off on the wrong end of the train.
Yeah.
The wrong side of the station. But in any case, one of the things that's showing positivity in the industry in Boston was Boston's got a. I mean, we are one of the best theater towns in the country.
I think so.
We have.
I might be biased.
We have a number of chains and tons of repertory and indie theaters around the general, what we call the Metro Boston area.
We used to
in
have
eCinemaOne and eCinemaBoston, that means in a 50-mile radius inside Massachusetts.
Yeah.
There are tons of them.
Yeah. Sadly, there used to be more, but that was even before the pandemic. I mean, Boston used to have
we haven't lost any of the
ton.
indies during the pandemic, which is a miracle. The Coolidge Corner Theater in Brookline and the Brattle Theater in Cambridge are two theaters that we've talked about endlessly on this show.
Somerville.
We love,
And the Somerville.
And the Somerville Theater in Somerville, thank you, are three theaters that we have talked about endlessly on this show because we go there all the time for festivals and whatever.
Yeah.
They all were closed during the pandemic. Both the Coolidge Corner Theater and the Brattle Theater have just reopened in the last 2 weeks. And their memberships kept them afloat. They were able to keep staff on. They were able to make changes to their inside stuff and do some remodeling. And Coolidge Corner, when they announced their opening date again, also announced a $50 million renovation, which will be done over the next 18 months, which will add a brand new concession area.
Yeah.
It will add 2 new cinemas to the upstairs area, and expand a lot of stuff so that their address will shift from where it is now on the front of the building in the main street in Brookline to the next street over, because the main entrance will be now in what is now the rear of the theater.
Oh, wow.
Back by the parking lot. And the renovations, they had drawings of it, are incredible. And I can't wait till they get that open, because the Coolidge is just one of the coolest places to see a theater, to see a film.
It really is. We've seen some incredible films at the Coolidge, and it's just a terrific place. I mean, not that the other theaters around here aren't wonderful too, the Brattle and the Somerville and things like that.
And there's other ones we haven't been to, like Studio Cinema in Belmont and West Newton Cinema and the Lexington Venue. And of course, the one theater we did love, which closed and did actually finally come to a deal with the new owners and reopened, and that's Cinema Salem in Salem, which we are so happy about.
So
Yay.
Happy about that. The Coolidge to me, the Coolidge just has this wonderful... Not all theaters have their own feeling. You just have that vibe when you go in a theater, and they're all different.
I have to admit, if I can throw this in, if any of you have read Kevin Murphy's book, A Year at the Movies, we had never been to the Brattle at the time I read that book, and I was like, we have got to get there, because he went to some film festival there.
Yeah.
And what I imagined in my head and what we actually got were two entirely different things, and they were both awesome.
Yeah. Oh,
we
the Brattle's
love the Brattle Theater.
See, that's why I don't think the theater, all this doom and gloom stuff from people
Well,
like
the Brattle
Barry
wouldn't be
Diller and things
affected
like
because
that.
the Brattle is a repertory theater. They don't do new stuff very often. Occasionally.
Where I'm coming from is the theater is never going to go away.
Yeah.
Because there is nobody above a certain age has not had at least one theater experience. I mean, so it's never going to go away because it's always going to be in people's memories.
Yeah.
I mean, for the longest time, people said that the drive-in was as dead as the dodo, but whenever people have done something where they've had a drive-in, they've done even where they've had drive-ins that were old drive-ins that have been refurbished and fixed up and stuff like that, or even where they've had drive-ins that were done on a big blow-up screen, people showed up and continue to show up.
Let's talk about that for a minute.
Segue.
In 2016 or 2017, we devoted our whole summer to drive-ins, a drive-in cinema, we call it.
Yep.
And
Drive-in summer.
Drive-in summer. And we had a lot of fun doing that
Yeah.
and doing some research. And
I heard from some really cool people out there.
We
with,
have.
With drive-ins all over
And I've
the
actually
country.
connected with a couple of the drive-in people on the VC
Yay.
that I used to talk to over there. But the interesting thing about this more than anything is the pandemic has fueled a drive-in renaissance. 224 new drive-ins are being built or have just opened in America in the last 2 years.
That's wacky.
And there's expected to be another 90 of them by the summer of 23.
Cool.
So, or 22. So, this is great that they're
great.
finding a way, because people are realizing drive-ins are a safe place to go see films because you're only with your immediate family.
Yeah.
Don't have to worry about COVID. You don't have to wear a mask. You don't have to do any of that stuff. They have, a lot of drive-ins have instituted curb service where they will bring food to your car.
Right. Or you could bring your own food. You could, it's really kind of bananas when you think about it. You could stop at
Yeah, but it's no fun.
Well, you could stop at Burger King and get everything in the drive-thru and then go to the theater and you sit there and you eat your Whopper and you watch the movie and stuff like that.
Yeah, but when I was
which
little,
is not
we used
a plug
to go
for Burger King.
When I was little,
listening.
we used to go to the drive-in all the time. My mom and my stepdad and I, and because we lived just half a mile down the street from it, and they had new shows every Wednesday, and we went every weekend. And Mom, for a while there, was insisting, we can make our own popcorn. We can bring whatever we want, saving money. And after a couple of weeks, we were realizing, this doesn't work. It's not the same thing. No. You have to be able to go into concessions. You have to be able to buy the concessions there. It's no fun bringing bottled or canned soda with you when you can go in and get Fanta Orange, too.
Well, it depends on what we got that at the theater and stuff like that. We would bring, most of the time when it came to when we would sneak things in, but we would bring candy and things
occasionally,
like that because
they
didn't have the kind of candy that we liked, and some people got a taste for Ferrero Rocher. You can't see me, but I'm totally raising my hand.
we would bring those for special movies.
So that was big coat. Put the big coat on, put the Rocher in, get your ticket, go sit down.
Yeah, it's the kind of coat you can wear when you're going through the store shoplifting stuff.
No, we were not shoplifting.
No, I didn't say we were. I said it's the kind of coat people wear when they're doing that.
Yeah, but
we were using it to stash what we already had.
Yeah.
So,
or I would bring my big saddle purse and we would just put the candy in there.
I think the big question is the streaming experience at home really going to rival movies? And I don't think it is. I mean,
think in certain cases,
I would have done anything almost to have seen the Snyder Cut on the big screen.
But he won't do that.
It was a great, cute. It was it was a great movie. We talked about it a few weeks ago. Terrific version. It helped make Justice League actually make sense.
Oh yeah.
But to see that on the big screen one day will be glorious.
Oh,
I mean, no doubt it'll run at the Brattle or the Coolidge someday.
I mean, we both loved Kong versus Godzilla. I mean,
Godzilla versus Kong.
Or Godzilla versus Kong, or Frankenstein meets...
Now, I did that already. Stop stealing my shtick.
Okay, Godzilla versus Kong. We loved it, but would I have loved it more seeing it on the big screen? Probably. I mean, there would have been more people staring at me going, why is that crazy woman crying?
We could have gone. I mean, it was open.
The theaters were open.
We would have had to go to Somerville to see it, but...
But the theaters were open, but we're still both,
We've made up our decision. We've decided, on advice from doctors, we have decided we're not going to jump right into things right away. We're going to wait till fall.
Even though we're both immunized.
We are. We're both fully vaccinated.
Yeah.
But we're just, because we're playing precautions, and there's this new Delta virus out there that they say they're pretty sure, not 100% sure, they're pretty sure the vaccines protect against it.
Right.
But we decided to just take it slow. We're
Yeah.
going to go wait till September before we start waiting out to go out to eat again. October, we
whatever
have
else.
tickets to see AEW Dynamite when they finally make it up here. The tickets were originally for March of last year. No,
March or
May of
April?
last year.
I thought it was April.
April of last year. It was for after everything closed down.
Yeah.
And they've changed the date 4 times. Now it's October 27th. And then we have tickets to see Drew Lynch in January, which was also bumped almost over a year.
Right.
So,
The thing is,
we'll venture out for those, but until then, I mean, I probably will want to hit theaters at Christmas time to catch any big Oscar stuff, but we'll see.
do I think that streaming's going to change the movie industry forever? In certain ways, maybe, but in certain ways,
Just
no.
same way as television has changed them.
Right.
Yeah.
And everything else. Everything changes.
Mm-hmm.
That's the universe. You can scream and yell and want things to stay exactly the same, and the universe goes, that's cute.
But,
You know,
all right, let's go a different direction, and this is also a direction that not just Mr. Diller has brought up, but also has been brought up by Spielberg, Christopher Nolan, Martin Scorsese, and so on and so forth. Is it fair for streaming-made films to compete for Oscars?
Is it a movie?
Well, they're television movies, and they've never been able to be considered Oscar fair. And
No, but
technically,
but
streaming
that's
is
because
television.
that's because they have the Emmys.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Spielberg said Netflix is a television service. It should be Emmys, not Oscars. And I have to say I agree with that up to certain points. If the movie is going to premiere in theaters or be released to theaters, even in its, smaller form, like Netflix has been doing for their high profile stuff, that's fine. But if it's strictly a streaming film, I don't think you should be considered Oscar. I would say it has to have at least 10 theaters and qualifying theaters to qualify for Oscars. I don't think it's fair.
I don't really, this is going to sound terrible. I don't really care. I mean, I don't, because the only reason that they want...
I mean, the Oscars today don't mean what they used to mean.
Well, the only reason they want to put that
without a
on there
doubt.
is so they can put Oscar nominated or Oscar winning so that they can, try and gouge more money out of people.
Yeah, but
You know,
sometimes, that's not fair. Some of our favorite films are Oscar winners. Casablanca won like 6 Oscars, including Best Picture.
Yeah. And
they touted it as Academy Award winner when it was out in its re-releases.
Yeah, and some of our favorites got screwed.
That's true, too.
Looking at you, people who didn't vote for Fellowship of the Ring or The Two Towers.
Well, Peter made up for it with Return of the King. Yeah, I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but I mean, it's not fair to say they're just trying to gouge people.
All right, it's that kind
More
of stuff
so now
is-
than they were then.
That kind of stuff is just for the prestige snobs, is in my opinion. How many movies have we seen that were just so amazing that have never been nominated for an Academy Award?
Oh, I know, but because the Oscars are very
snobbish?
woke.
Well, they're more woke now than they were.
Yeah, they continue to be over woke sometimes. And this is something that, it's hitting everywhere, not just Oscars, it's hitting every
really
industry.
shouldn't. I mean, to be perfectly honest,
Not
we
that
have
diversity,
seen-
first of all, not that diversity is a bad thing, it's not, but when it's taken to extremes, like Hollywood has done over the last few years, and like Film Twitter has done crazy over the last few years, it gets it makes average Joes go, what the hell?
I mean, we have seen some incredible films because of the Oscars. I
Yeah.
mean, you and I both had never heard of Departures.
No,
until
we hadn't heard of it.
Until it won Best Foreign Film over with the Class
Wall
and
Street- Class and Wall Street Bashir
and
were
we're
the
both
favorites.
going, what the hell is Departures? And then we went out of our way to see it, and it was like, oh, okay.
This film is awesome.
Yeah,
Go
this
see
film
it.
is awesome. If you've never seen Departures,
Please rent
why?
it. Find it.
Go
Rent
see
it.
it.
Go.
But
It's
some
awesome.
of the films that we've seen that we love have never. Where's the Oscar for I Wish? I'm sorry, that movie should have gotten all the Oscars.
I Wish barely got a release in this country, number one. I Wish is from, I always get his first name wrong, Koreeda. It's a beautiful little film about kids in Japan who, hear that their wishes will come true whenever a bullet train passes each
bullet
other.
trains pass.
New bullet trains.
It's a beautiful film.
It's a great film.
Where are the Oscars for Sita Sings the Blues?
Sita Sings the Blues was never released to theaters.
Yeah, which sucks.
Because of copyright issues.
You know, I mean, but that's just my take on it. I'm not like an awards person, I guess. I don't know. Because it just seems like a lot of backhanded,
It's a lot of political and political correctness that has invaded all of it over the last few years. I mean, it's completely upended what was the Golden Globes. They are completely rewriting their laws. They're completely rewriting how they do things because people were freaking out last year, rightfully so. Because of this crazy stuff that went under the previous administration of that, who I read his book and never got any of that out of him. So it's like, okay, we don't want to get too crazy on that subject, but it does affect people.
Yeah.
And the more that comes in, that also is something that even got more bloated by the pandemic because people were trapped inside and forced to, subject themselves to Facebook, Twitter, Zoom, and all that stuff.
Right.
So it got kind of out of hand.
Yeah. I think the movies are going to change. I think everything is changing. Everything has to change. People who keep saying, "Oh, I want things to go back to the way they were before the pandemic." No.
There's never going to be, you can't hit the reset button. We are in what has been called by experts from the beginning in the early stages of our new normal.
Yeah.
Which is, careful with what you're doing. I mean, here in Massachusetts, the mask mandates were lifted about a month and a half, 2 months ago. Mm-hmm. No big problem. Massachusetts has one of the highest vaccination rates in the state. I think 76% of the residents have been vaccinated.
Right.
And so it's getting safer out here.
It is.
In our area. But that's not the case for Texas, Missouri, Nevada.
It's not the case for the world. We know it's not. Look what's happening in Japan with the
Tokyo
Olympics.
has barred spectators from the Olympics that probably should have been postponed again, but they didn't do it for political reasons.
And now there's a huge spike in cases and stuff like that, and it's just,
it's not over.
It's not over.
And people got to remember that it's not over. It's getting better.
Yeah, people running around.
It isn't going to be over,
it's over
for probably another 18 months. It won't be over. It's going to take a while because the rest of the world needs to catch up with Britain, the United States, and some of Europe. And Australia and New Zealand, who have had some of the lowest rates overall around the world. But it does affect the box office. It affects the way people watch television. Yeah. The streaming networks have truly exploded during the pandemic.
Yeah, that's true.
They were out there. I mean, Netflix was out there, and there were a couple of other smaller ones that were gaining traction. Disney Plus was first, and then, of course, during the pandemic, Peacock launched full ways, and they are a hybrid. They're one of the few. They're part television and part movie. There's and part sports because they're connected to NBC. Paramount Plus is what evolved from CBS All Access. All the CBS stuff is on Paramount Plus a bunch of new shows, bunch of revivals, Nickelodeon and all that stuff is on there. And the streaming networks, we subscribe to a number, although I have got to admit we subscribe to all of them because we need them for programming.
Right.
But the one we've watched the most is Discovery Plus.
Yeah.
I subscribe to Discovery Plus and I've watched almost 10 seasons worth of Barefoot Contestant now. And I continue to watch, and I got to watch the Pioneer Woman, I got to watch Pioneer Woman wedding thing an hour before it aired on Food Network.
Yeah. He cried.
My priorities are clear, damn it.
He cried.
Cooking shows and all the cooking shows. Of course I cried. It was a wedding. I'm sorry, when you watch a show like The Pioneer Woman, where you get to know all of Ree Drummond and her family and friends, you feel like they're friends.
Yeah.
So it was like watching old friends with this wedding. It was just so rough.
And I know everyone's sitting out there going, yeah, Kim, you cried too. Yeah,
She did.
I did.
I watched it by myself first.
Yeah.
And I spent the whole hour in tears. I wasn't that bad when I showed her about an hour later.
No, and I didn't cry through the whole thing. There were just certain
Even
things.
Maurizio cried when he was standing at the altar waiting for Alex to come down the aisle.
It's his wedding.
But you don't usually see that from the groom.
Well, you do if he's a sensitive, new millennial kind of guy. I'd rather have that than one of these guys who loses an arm and is like, "I'm fine, I'll just walk it off."
Seriously though, all of the studios and networks and stuff have launched their own streaming services, and I'm wondering if this is all going to come and blow up in their face.
It's also really cool. I found it to be really cool to not even with the streaming stuff, to just go and look at channels that I never really looked at before. I have been watching a heck of a lot of TCM.
Well, we used to watch TCM every now and then anyway.
Every now and then, but I'm watching it a lot more than I used to. And
yeah, I caught her. I walk in this afternoon. She's like, "What are you watching?" Brothers Karamazov. I'm like, "What? When were you interested in that?"
You should just be glad I wasn't reading it.
Well, yeah. Well, it's Yul Brynner.
I mean, it's, I'm not trying to sound like I'm slagging on anybody's literature or anything like that.
No.
The written word is always going to be here no matter what other people think. But Russian literature, for the most part, it's a book and a doorstop. You could use it to prop open your window. It's insane the way that
it's a dessert topping and floor wax.
And if you remember that joke, congratulations, you're old.
You are. Seriously though, the streaming services are the new norm. People will continue to take on watching movies.
Sure.
And the really good thing, one of the best things about the streaming services, it's been especially advantageous for HBO Max lately, is the way that these new streaming services can bring important documentaries to the forefront where nobody would ever have seen them in theaters.
Right.
Documentaries have a niche audience. I love them. Kim will tolerate them and likes them only if they're animals usually, but she's seen the big ones. Huh?
Or food.
Unless
it's ants on a shrimp. I left during that one.
Yeah, well, there was a reason for that. It was terrible. You wouldn't normally go out of your way to see a movie like The Act of Killing unless I had said, we need to see this. Yeah. It's an important film. And we went and saw it and it was just like, oh my God.
Well, there's certain historical things my history stuff, it's really weird because when it comes to documentaries, things like that, you're interested in things to do with, disasters.
I like a little bit of everything.
And like he mentioned, I'm like, duckies and bunnies.
I sat through a documentary about the building of a stone wall in Canada.
Yeah, that's true.
Not that it was a bad film, it was fascinating. And I sat through a film about a VW van trying to cross the country.
See, that's the cool thing about documentaries. Where I was going with that is I'll watch documentaries or shorter documentaries about true crime stuff. That's what I'm interested in because I dig mysteries and stuff like that. And I'll watch stuff about a famous crime or
we
Jack
still need to watch
stuff
Truffle Hunters, by the way.
That. Yeah, I know. See, that's the cool thing to me about documentaries, and that's the cool thing about streaming things when you can look at the documentary, is that the thing about a movie, the difference to me between a movie and a documentary is that when you have a movie, you're going, usually, not all the time, but you're going to see a movie because you like the genre, or you like an actor in it, or you like the director, or whatever. Sometimes you'll see a documentary, you'll see what it's about, and you're watching it simply for the what the heck? You're like, how in the world could somebody make an hour and something movie about yarn and make it interesting?
That was a fascinating film. If you guys have never seen it, it's simply called Yarn, and it's a really amazing film.
Right.
Just like Hava Nagila, the movie, which we saw about how we both thought it was an ancient song, and here it was written in 1912, and it's a fairly recent song.
That's the cool thing about documentaries, is that if you see a documentary on one of the streaming things, and they'll usually give you a little, whatever about what the movie's about, and you're like, what? documentaries can be really cool like that, because if you just click it on and you're an hour and a half into it, you'll come out of it going, oh my gosh, I didn't know that about, this kind of food or this kind of pastime or this person or whomever. I mean, and a lot of them we've seen at film festivals and things like that. But
particularly the Salem Film Festival, which is a documentary festival. Salem Film Fest, excuse me.
You find them on the streaming channels and stuff like that, and that's so cool.
Yeah. Because
you watch a documentary about crossword puzzles, and you're like, they have contests for this?
See, I got her into foodie documentaries.
Yeah.
Because she wanted to see Hero Dreams of Sushi, which was a big hit at Sundance and wherever. And ever since then, I've been able to keep her interested in stuff like City of Gold, which you ended up loving, and so many great foodie docs.
Yeah.
And we've seen so many that people haven't seen. Steak Revolution, which was a brilliant one. King George's, which was awesome. We've seen so many of these. And yet, that was as far as I could extend it. You still take things, even when I think you want to, I'm trying to get you to see them, you won't see them, or you're just not really interested. Stuff like Maru, which was about the mountain climbers that just fascinated me, and I thought you'd like it, but you just didn't have any interest.
No.
But it's like,
we get that both ways. I mean,
we do, yeah.
See, that's the other nice thing about the streaming services. If you find a film that you think your partners would really like, you tell them, hey, this is on streaming this month or whatever. I really liked it. I saw it before I met you or whatever.
Yep.
If you want, you can check it out because it's there. It's not a question of you have to go to the video store, or you have to wait for it to show up at some, retro thing at your local multiplex or whatever. It's there. You can have it now. I mean, I know that's one thing that a lot of people are like, the whole, it's like these millennials and their instant gratification, blah, 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 which I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm one of these people, I don't know if I'm unique about this, but I get so sick and tired of hearing, the older people complain about the younger people that they're spoiled and they're this and that and the other thing. And the younger people complain about the older people that they're out of touch, that they've ruined everything, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And once again, the wheels on the bus go round and round. This has been going on since there have been old people and young people. So it's not like it's new.
Yeah, we haven't watched a lot of new stuff since the pandemic started.
I'm watching all these old movies.
Right, we've been watching bad movies. We watched all the bad stuff. We did actually discover a great documentary during the pandemic last year that I don't know if anybody saw. It was really, I got critical raves when it came out. It's a music-oriented documentary called Bathtubs Over Broadway.
Yeah.
And it is...
It's weird.
I don't remember whether it's Amazon or Netflix that has it, but it's the story of the Broadway style musicals that are corporate, for corporate companies.
Right.
One of David Letterman's writers, and the gentleman who used to do the Dave's Record Collection segments, got into it because of that, and now has amassed this gigantic collection of these corporate musicals.
Yeah.
And there's actually a 3-disc set of them out on DVD. You can get it on Amazon.
The weird thing is...
The movie's awesome.
Now that I sit here and think about it, a lot of people probably got exposed to those kind of things that they weren't seeing live on stage, but seeing exclusively for their business.
Right.
And people outside of their business got exposed to them thanks to Mystery Science Theater 3000. A lot of the shorts that they did, stuff like Design for Dreaming, which was all about, was it Cadillacs or
Pontiacs, and
it was cars.
It was futuristic stuff about, I forget which company did that, but I love that one. That's one of my favorite shorts.
It's Buick, maybe.
Buick.
I'm not sure. It's cars. I don't know anything about cars.
But they also talk about quick, the kind of clothes that are being made, the modern kitchen, the modern, all...
The modern push-button kitchen
right.
stuff, which never actually happened.
Not yet.
Not
no.
yet.
Although flying cars are very, very near.
Yeah, considering the way people drive, I'm not sure I want the flying cars anymore. I'm more like matter transporters. We need matter transporters.
Yes, we do need matter transporters.
We don't need fridges that are hooked up to your iPhone pad.
No,
whatever.
the Internet of Things is a really bad idea.
Yeah.
Could we stop, please? Seriously, back on the track though. Seriously, check out Bathtubs Over Broadway if you haven't seen it, because it's really funny and brilliant
and weird
and weird. The music's great. I bought the book too. It's really great. I think in the long run it'll shake out and we'll be fine.
Yeah.
In the theater industry, I think that the fact that people are willing to spend the money to keep small theaters open during the pandemic proves there will always be a movie-going audience, despite the fact we have all these trolls online. Oh, I never go to the theater. It's not worth it. I can watch it better on my home screen. Blah, blah, blah.
You know what? To those people, good. We won't miss you.
Yeah, we won't miss you.
Probably because you're the same ass clowns that were on your phone in the theater.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, you mean like the lady that Fun Size and Wreck-It Ralph? Yeah, told that story before. If you want to hear it, go back and find it.
Or the people that talk on the phone all through the movie.
Yeah, we've had that too.
And you know who you are. And
Yeah.
you don't know what you want. I really want to say something here, but I won't.
Yeah. We are interested in what you have to think about what the movie industry is going to look like 6, 7, 8 years down the road. So please drop us a line, subjectcinema@PNRNetworks.com. And you can follow us also on Twitter. I am at eCinemaOne and TKR Online on Twitter. Kim is at Platinum Rose L. Or Platinum Rose Lady on Twitter.
Platinum Rose Lady at Twitter.com.
Twitter.com. It is Lady on Twitter.
I'm pretty sure. Or you can just do L. You probably just type in Platinum Rose L and you'll find me.
It'll pull up, right?
Yeah.
And we also have a Popcorn and Roses Facebook site, so you can look that up too, and Instagram.
The other thing, just real quick, going back to the whole thing with all this people bitching about streaming and stuff, and how it's killing the theaters and all that. One thing that they're not going to be that you can't do right now on on TV is something you mentioned earlier, and that's Fathom Events. And we've been
Fathom Events is back in business.
Yeah,
they have been for a couple
we've been to
months.
Several Fathom events.
Yeah.
And we always have a great time. And unfortunately, we'll have to find a new place to go to them now.
Yeah, because AMC doesn't do as many of them as Showcase used to, which sucks.
Yeah. But you can see you can see ballet, you can see opera. We saw Riff Tracks live. I got to see Gone with the Wind on the big screen, which was
we got to
incredible.
See Casablanca the same way. The Dracula pairings.
Yeah, the American version and the Mexican version
of
Dracula.
The Night of the Living Dead anniversary cut.
Jaws. We saw that at the Coolidge. But that was Fathom.
We saw Jaws and Superman over here at the Fathom was over here at the Showcase that isn't here anymore.
I cried at the end of Superman too.
We're going to be lamenting the Showcase for a while.
Yes, we are, because that was our theater. That is really weird. It's really strange because the town I grew up in, I had a theater in my town. I had this shows you how old I am. I had a 2-screen theater in our
GMC theater.
GMC. Yeah, that one. I know I just gave some people such a flashback. Their noses are bleeding. I'm sorry. But that was never my theater, even though that's the theater I saw Star Wars in, but the Revere Theater, to me, that Showcase, that was my theater. That was where I had so many film experiences, good, bad, and indifferent, and I miss it. I'm going to miss it. I do miss it, because when we hear about things coming out, it's like, oh, I can't, hopefully they'll have it at, oh, wait.
Yeah.
Not there anymore.
I don't even remember what the last thing we went to was there, but it was before it was in 2019 still.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, because the final thing we saw before pandemic was the Cat Video Festival at the Coolidge.
Video Festival at the Coolidge, yeah.
So,
and then everything shut.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
That shut just a week later. We were
like,
nuts.
What? What do you mean we can't? What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're going to do they didn't do one, obviously, in March, but I wonder if they're going to do a Cat Video Festival anytime soon. Those are always fun. In any case, we hope you'll join us again. Next week, I'm not sure what our topic will be yet, But we will be here, and we'll record it a day early because I got some stuff going on. But it'll be up on Sunday. We have got some stuff going on physically in this room where we do this in the next week because I have finally determined it needs to finally be done, or I'm going to pull my hair out. So we're going to have our new studios done by the end of next week. So. End of the week after next, sorry.
And if you guys have a suggestion for something you'd like to hear us do a show about, please let us know.
Yep, at Subject Cinema at PNRNetworks.com. Don't forget also to check out the weekly roundup of new theater releases on 3 Minute Weekend on Fridays. Tuesday, Digidex and Digidex Stream Month are off until September because of the pandemic issues. And Kim is back with Ring Around the Rosie.
Yes.
First show last week, and she's back later today, I'm sure.
Oh,
with
yeah.
another one. And there's a lot to talk about with her and the latest wrestling stuff.
Oh, yeah.
We'll have more new things coming in the weeks and months ahead. Stay tuned and keep watching Twitter and our eCinemaOne website at eCinemaOne.com for some announcements, exciting announcements that will be coming between now and the end of the summer. A lot of interesting stuff happening.
Yep. I think that's about it.
I think that's about it, too. Let's fly on out of here, shall we?
Whee!
For Subject Cinema, I'm T.C. Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown.
May your popcorn always be buttered.
And may your roses always be in bloom.
TTFN.
Bye now.
You have been listening to Subject Cinema with hosts T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown. Subject Cinema is produced by PNRNetworks, Boston, Massachusetts, which is solely responsible for its content. Subject Cinema is copyright 2020 by PNRNetworks under a Creative Commons license. Check out a new episode of Subject Cinema every weekend. Until next time, this is Bob Taylor for Subject Cinema, and we'll see you at the movies.
Okay, I love you. Bye-bye.
Blueberry. This podcast is a member of the Blueberry Network. Blueberry. No E's. That's Blueberry, BLUBRRY.com. Blueberry.com.
15 years. Blowing the doors off the competition. Podcasting to planet Earth.
PNRNetworks.com.